Hello ladies and gents, and welcome to this week's Thursday Thoughts. So I am going to be talking a la podcast today because we've had a question whether we could make these into a podcast or not. So I'm going to try my very best to do it podcasty as well. So very welcome to all of you, wherever you may be in the world. So whether you're watching on our website channel, and I can see there's a stack of you online, so welcome, and anybody that's watching on YouTube or TDIQ or anywhere else. I think they're the only three places we're going live. So anyway, welcome, hello, my name is Michael Ingledew. I hope by now you know who I am. We've got a slightly different layout today. I'll explain what these logos are down below. So at TDW we have a members network and we have a vendors member network, and all of these companies support what we do. They like what we do, and you know, they help us create this kind of content for you because they give us some cash to keep TDW going. And so what we want to do is we want to promote those that help us deliver content to you. And so you can see the companies that are supporting what we're doing here at TDW. And as this grows, we'll add more and more logos, I hope. So we're all good. We're ready to rock and roll. So it's all going to be the same kind of format. I'm going to go industry news, and we're going to go for the news that is kind of current, the stuff that's affecting tech pubs today. Then a little bit of news of what might be in the future, what is something, you know, that we can keep our eye on. But all of the news events that I pull out are stuff that I hope that we can learn from, kind of the stuff that's going on that I think is interesting to us in our domain. So hopefully you too will find it very, very interesting. So I'll run quickly our contact. So you should all know by now how to get hold of us, but if you want to get hold of us on any of our social channels, we're on all of the major platforms, so Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Zing, and you know, all that kind of stuff. So if you want to get in touch with us, please do so through any of those channels. There is a live chat online right now, which I will try my very best to monitor, but if I can't get to the live chat and you raise a question, and I'll try and answer it next week or something. So in any case, so as I said, new buttons. So if I press something that is not going to work exceptionally well, I apologize in the first instance. So let's move over. So hopefully you like our new logo that Marjan put together for us on the thoughts this week. Sorry if this microphone gets in the way. It is going to go to a podcast, as I've said before. So we are now going to go into the news. I want to talk about the Galileo project. Now, I mentioned the Galileo project last week, not only because I was lucky enough to be involved in the Galileo project early doors, but because this is really getting acrimonious now between the UK and the rest of the European Union. And as I mentioned last week, the European Union are basically saying, look, if you guys want out of the European Union, fine, leave the European Union, but you also leave the Galileo project. And because there is a military component to that. And so this news item that I've picked out is actually the British have said, okay, well, we're going to partner with Australia and we're going to come up with a competitor to Galileo, which I'm sure the European Union doesn't care a jot about. But it's got a little bit nasty now, and it actually hit the front pages of the press here in the UK today, that it's being positioned as France and Germany are trying to squeeze Britain out of or the United Kingdom out of the Galileo project. I'm not sure it's quite like that. I think it's actually, you know, it's a military platform, and, you know, Britain doesn't want to be part of the club, so we're not going to be part of the club. So, so what's come out of this is that the UK has now said we might partner with someone like Australia to develop something ourselves. So you can see that happening. BAE Systems awarded, there's a couple of BAE Systems things going on this week, and in fact I've had to trim it down again because otherwise it would have been all BAE Systems this week. But they've been awarded the supply chain contract for the F-35 electronic warfare system, which I think is super interesting. And BAE Systems, the way that I've read this release is that the C5000 project down in Australia, and I know that some of you guys that are involved on this program, A, access our magazine, and B, watch these tutorials and watch our live thoughts, etc., and listen to our podcasts. So it seems that BAE Systems are a little bit late coming to the party is what I'm reading. But anyway, it seems like that they are now in the game is what I'm reading. In the US, I picked this out today that there is it says that it's being recompeted. The way that I've read it, it actually sounds like it's another phase of the project. So it's a 600 million US command system, information command system, that I believe General Dynamics were originally or are involved on that program, which I think is pretty interesting. So that's, you know, lots of money kicking around there for that, and we're seeing lots of those kind of programs kicking around now. This one, I wanted to pick it out because space seems to be something that is, you know, happening a lot. There's a lot of activity in space at the moment, and Thales Alenia have announced that their new NEO satellite platform has gone through, I think it's its first design phase, so I believe that that will go up very shortly. Interesting to see if and how they plan to use standards and specifications on that program. Not sure if they will. I know that we had the square kilometre mile guys, which is a telescopic it's basically a space telescope that's based down in South Africa, but there's a lot of stuff going on in Manchester here in the UK, and those guys asked for access this week for our S1000D cost tutorial that we did last week, which I'll talk about shortly. So this one, I wasn't sure whether I wanted to mention this one because I'm not really a political beast, but this seems to be something that is, again, it's Australia, so it's the Hawkeye project down in Australia, and it seems that the independent auditors have gone in. There's something gone wrong on this program that the auditors has gone in. They've produced a report, and it seems that the defence supply chain has got very upset about it. Now, of course, what the supply chain is trying to do is they're trying to stop this report coming out, and it seems that, you know, they're trying to get an injunction to stop this report coming out because they believe the report is unfair. And I'll be interested to see what it is why this program seems to have hit a few issues. Now, if anybody knows why, get in touch and let us know, because it'll be quite interesting to know. I pulled this one out because, yes, it's trains, but, you know, we focus on the aerospace, defence and space, but we get a lot of people contacting us from the rail industry asking if they can access our S1000D and DITA training and XML training. And I pulled this out because Rolls-Royce have developed what they believe is the first hybrid train. And the reason I pulled it out as well is because it's based down in Lake Constance, which, if you've never been, I've been lucky enough to support some customers down that way. It's absolutely stunning and beautiful, and you should try and get down there, even if it's to go and have a go on this train. But greetings to all my friends down in Friedrichshafen and those places. This one, Rolls-Royce again, they're going to head up some kind of industrial strategy group. I'm not quite sure what that means in English, but it looks like the UK MOD has thrown 3.8 or 3.9 billion sterling at this initiative with Rolls-Royce, and it sounds like it's going to be pretty exciting. I'd like to learn more about what it is that's happening on that program front. Rolls-Royce again, and it seems to be a Friedrichshafen theme today. If you've never been down that way, MTU Diesel, I was there a few years ago, and when you go into their big operations centre, which is down there, and their facilities, they've got some lovely big diesel engines in the reception area. And what they've announced today, I think it's today the announcement came out, is the customer care facility. The Rolls-Royce customer care facility is going to be down there. So I'm assuming Tech Docs and technical publications and all that kind of stuff will be involved. And I know that MTU's got a big Tech Pubs team down that way. I talked about this one a few weeks ago, and again I'll put all of the links to these, we'll put them down below in the blog post. And you know, UTC and their I think it's called Insights, software, which is basically all about big data, and it's going to capture platform metrics and what's going on with the platform, and it's going to decide what can happen next with the kind of maintenance and support and that kind of stuff. Interesting read, and again, I'll put it down below for you to have a look at. This is really the only kind of future thing, apart from the electric train that I pulled out, because a lot of the augmented reality and virtual reality and artificial intelligence stuff is kind of regurgitated what we've already learnt over the last couple of weeks. So I didn't really want to go over that again because, you know, it gets boring for you and it gets boring for me. So Microsoft, I read today, are adding mixed reality support to SharePoint. Now, I know a lot of you out there use SharePoint. We have SharePoint. I have to be honest, we've never been particularly successful with it. I will have to take another look at it and see if we can get it doing something interesting. And but I wanted to pull out that, you know, Microsoft is doing something in this area. I did see an announcement today about Google have announced another AR VR headset, but I'll pull that out for next week. I'm going to stop going on about this because this is boring me to the back teeth. Now, if you go to LinkedIn or anything, and you know, every time I open up my emails on a morning, I've got 50 emails from organizations asking me to resubscribe to newsletters. Now, those of you who have resubscribed to our newsletter, I thank you. Those of you who have asked us to add you manually because you're having problems, I think we've done it all now. There was quite a lot of you, so I think we've put you through. If you have not resubscribed to our GDPR newsletter, tomorrow will be the last time you will hear from us unless you are on our new GDPR list. And there's quite a lot of you that have moved over. Again, thank you. But, you know, if you want to continue to hear what we're doing and see what we're doing and get these kind of, you know, notifications from us, please do sign up to that. Very, very important. This week, or yesterday, Jamie released podcast episode 9. And we looked at why TechPubs is going mainstream, and I used a gadget here in the office, and I talked about, I had to try and explain it because it was podcast, but it's available on our podcast channel and on Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, and if you prefer to watch the video is also on our website, or it's over on our YouTube channel. And I talk about why those people that have this particular gadget that we have, everyday people, are now going to have to worry about TechPubs. It's only about 15-20 minutes long. Go and have a listen. Last week I mentioned we had a question in from a TDIQ subscriber that was asking about the correct and appropriate use of the RPC within S1000D. So we did a tutorial on the RPC and originator codes and enterprise codes and cage codes and those kind of things. We've put it up onto TDIQ, and hopefully you've now watched that. But all TDIQ subscribers can go over and grab that and have a look at that. So TDW Live, if you haven't booked yet, the early bird is about to come to an end. Now, we do have a number of you have said you didn't see the early bird announcements. You know, well, get your request in to hold the price as soon as possible. I know we had a flurry of bookings today from the MOD and some industry representatives as well. So, you know, day one is already pretty full, but, you know, you can get yourselves booked onto that. You can get an email into us at Member Services, or you can email Claire at techdataworld.com and she'll hold the place for you. But it's important that if you have not booked yet, that you do so soon if you want to save yourself some shekels. This is hot off the press and came in literally about an hour and a half ago. Rheinmetall Technical Publications here in the UK have renewed their support for TDW. So they are one of the companies down below here that support what we're doing, and you know, with their support means we can continue to do this kind of stuff for you. And I'm going in to see Rob Peters and his team on the 4th of July, I think we agreed, and hopefully a little blog or something from there would be really well received. So that's all kind of the news. Now, what I have done is, rather than create this template for questions, I've got my questions that I need to answer in front of me here, and you can just look at the nice logo and, you know, my beautiful face. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions that I will go through. There was another one which I've removed, and I'll do a special podcast on that, which I think is because it was quite interesting. So why don't you put all of your videos on YouTube? Now this is one of those that we have got a podcast scheduled to talk about, and the podcast itself is called Eggs in Basket, and from that I guess you can deduce why we don't put all of our content on one platform. We don't put everything on YouTube. Now YouTube is a channel that we use, as is Twitter, as is Facebook, LinkedIn, and those kind of things. The majority of what we do, we like to put through our own platform. We like to put through TDIQ, we like to put through our own website. And I don't want to give too much away on that particular podcast, because I give some real examples where some people have put all of their eggs in one basket and it's fallen apart. And I talk about YouTube because YouTube has done something recently that has forced people to rethink their content delivery strategy, and I will talk about that. When will the TechCom course you mentioned be available? Okay, if you watched our Thursday Thought from a couple of weeks ago, when I talked about this is going to be a big problem, i.e. the next set of skills coming into the market, I mentioned in that episode that we've developed a technical communication in aerospace and defence course. It's quite a long, comprehensive course. We're announcing it and launching it next week. So the website is ready. We're just waiting on one thing coming in from one of our designers, and we will be announcing it next week. And you'll be able to request the full syllabus and see what's available on there, see if it's something that's interesting to you. If you are a TDIQ subscriber, don't worry, it's part of your subscription. You will get it. You will automatically be entitled to do it. It's a massive course. We've been developing it for over 4 years, and it's the first full online comprehensive technical communication course focused on the aerospace, defence and space sector. So next week, to answer your question, when will part 2 of GDPR be available? Okay, great question, because a lot of you signed up to part 1 expecting to see part 2 straight away. And, you know, obviously we put the hook out there to get people to sign up to our newsletter to obviously access part 2. We wanted to wait until the 25th, which is the GDPR deadline. The GDPR deadline is tomorrow. And what we will do is then early next week, everybody who's on our GDPR list will receive a link to go and watch part 2. And part 2 is about GDPR and technical publications and what you need to be aware of and the kind of things you need to consider around technical publications. So next week for that. Can you turn your Thursday Thoughts into a podcast? Which is why I've got my microphone so close to me here, and I'm sitting a little bit closer here now to the screens and everything. The answer is we've talked about this already, and we've talked about this previously here in TDW. It makes sense, right? It makes sense because we've got a lot of people. Jamie shared the stats with me this week of the unique IP addresses we have had over, I think, 9 or 10 episodes that we've done. We've had phenomenal traction on the podcast. So it makes sense that we do that. So yes, we're going to turn this into a podcast. In fact, I'm recording it right now, and I'm hoping this machine can hold up running Audition and Wirecast at the same time. In fact, I've got a backup down here as well. So yep, that will happen. This one came in literally about an hour ago. And, you know, you wanted to know why we are using US dollars on our website. You need a quote in GBP for TDIQ. So you needed a quote in pounds. Now, the reason why we use US dollars on our website for TDIQ is, first and foremost, it's an international platform. We've got customers all around the world using TDIQ. And USD, US dollars, is kind of the currency of business. Everyone seems to default to the US dollar, and but also Claire and I took that decision because the pound right now is so volatile, it's up and down, that, you know, us having to constantly change our website would be a real pain in the backside, and dollar is a little bit more stable. So we decided that it was probably best to stick with US dollars. Everybody understands it, and you know, with the pound being up and down, and you know, all these projects that I talk about are affecting it quite badly. So but you asked for a quote for access to TDIQ. You're a TechPubs manager, I believe, and I believe Claire has sorted you out. So you should have that in pounds anyway to get through your organisation and those kind of things. So really, chaps and chapesses, wherever you might be in the world, let me just have a look, see if anything's come in. So we are in a good place. Well, there's a stack of you online. Okay, hi. So we have, you know, given you all the news that's out there that's kind of appropriate for today. And, you know, some stuff did come in today that I'll save for next week. And, you know, all the questions that I've had in this week that we thought we should answer, we have answered. Keep an eye out next week for the Technical Communication in Aerospace and Defence course. It's going to have its own website. It's going to have its own kind of branding, and, you know, and essentially it's all going to be hosted on TDIQ. So if you're a TDIQ subscriber, you get it. If you sign up to the TechCom course, you get access to TDIQ, all those kind of things. So I'm just having a look to make sure that nobody sent me any messages or anybody has sent me anything. So all going well, still good. And those of you online, I think that's probably our quickest Thursday thoughts in a very long time. But I just want to say thank you to, if I can get my finger in the right place, to all of these companies down below who are supporting us, because those guys make this happen. And please go to Tech Data Direct, and have a look at all of their profiles. That just leaves me to say, until next week, have a good week, everyone, or have a good weekend. It's a long weekend here in the UK, and the rain has arrived, so we're looking forward to that. Speak to you all soon.